Hello and welcome to another movie review. Slight delay there, sorry folks. From Movie Burner Entertainment, we'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel. And of course, our Twitch stream. I'm assuming it's on a Twitch stream as well, but
I think it is.
Fingers crossed, all you Twitchers out there. But anyway, we're here to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. And this is a spoiler review, folks. We've already done our non-spoiler. We've already done our pre-theatre talk. It's now down to the wire now, and we're going to be talking about heavy spoilers. So if you've not seen the film yet, guys,
fuck off.
Save this video and come back again once you've seen it. But we're going into it right away, and I'm going into it right away. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Charlie Cox are in this movie. So there you go. Get that out of my system. I've been dying to say that since Wednesday night, John.
And now, so is Tom Hardy.
I'm going to introduce you to. I'm Stephen John McLaughlin, one of your co-hosts. Our other co-host and main presenter is John Christopher Walsh, and our special guest from Sin's Corner, it's Sin. Welcome in, Sin.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Yeah. Listen, we've been talking about obviously trying to
do something here. I'll go back to you, Stephen.
Briefly, a movie review for a little while now, Sin, and what a way to start this off, this collaboration. And we know that we're going to come onto your show at some point as well in the new year. Hopefully for Morbius, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Good as this movie was.
It looked good, by the way. We've seen the trailer in the theatres. It looked fucking good. Jared looks stunning.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks as though it's got a good balance of humour and darkness.
I don't really want. Normally, when I come into these introductions, I normally rhyme off some of the cast, but the cast is that massive. And you all know who's in it now anyway. So I'm going to just hand this over to Jonathan now. He's going to take us through this movie review experience.
And I'm going to start by wishing Reefer Man a warm welcome. He's in the chat. This movie may be the greatest superhero movie of all time. I saw the movie this morning and my mind is still blowing. Guys, what's up? As always, good to see you. Welcome in, Reefer. Appreciate your presence. Yes, I've got some bullet points that I want to fucking systemically go through here, so I can pick the brains of all of us, including myself. And I'm going to start with the journey to the movie. The journey to the movie being just the years in the making. It got announced, obviously, I think at Comic-Con 2-3 years ago. And it's hard to believe, even getting into the theatres, we were queuing to get into our theatre because the lazy bastards at Cineworld in Silverburn were still cleaning it.
Yeah.
5 minutes before the show started. And I just could not believe I was actually queuing to go in and watch this movie. Feels like an eternity, a lifetime. We've been speaking about it, theorising. And it's exactly that I'm going to touch upon. The pitfalls of fan theories and speculation, Cloaks and Dagger promotional campaign. I'll go to Sin first. I'll let her get her feet under the door if you'd like, if that even makes fucking sense. It probably doesn't. Under the table. If you're Ronnie Cobbett and extras, you can get your feet under the door because he's so teeny tiny that you can slide under there, maybe full body. Sin, what was your mindset getting into this movie? What was your thoughts, perhaps, just if you've got any, on the fan theories? Is that something you enjoy doing before getting in to watch a movie like this, theorising, or do you think it's a dangerous thing that could maybe corrupt the viewing pleasure when you actually go in and watch a movie? Because of course that was something that was synonymous with Star Wars, the sequel trilogy. Theorising, people were ultimately disappointed when they went in and watched this movie because it didn't work out exactly how they'd pictured it. What was your thoughts going into this movie? Were you the same as me, out of body experience, actually getting to see this fucking finally, and just thoughts and all that shit I just said there? If you've got anything to say, Sin, I'll drink my soju.
I went into it with a good feeling. I wasn't super uncertain. So like I went into Halloween Kills because I really had high expectations of that. I went into it with a lot of uncertainty and I was ultimately disappointed. But I went into this feeling actually really good about it. I stayed away from fan theory stuff, even though you can't help but notice some of the stuff that gets mentioned, so I knew there was speculation about Andrew and Tobey being in there. And I think on one of my trailer reactions to this movie, someone pointed out exactly what you guys had said, that you think it's going to be Andrew who saves MJ.
Yeah, if we call that.
And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. It makes complete sense. That's probably what's going to happen. And of course, that was exactly what happened. So it was just, the nostalgia was huge. And I felt happy and sad at the same time. And I wasn't really disappointed at all.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that was a big disappointment. Just a couple of questions and possible plot hole things that occurred to me overnight as I was thinking about this movie. But in general, it was a great experience. And I came away from it completely satisfied.
Stephen, what was your thoughts going into the movie? And have you got any thoughts in fan theorising? I know you were burned by Star Wars and all of that theorising, and you were certainly burned when Ian McDiarmid's famous cackle obviously echoed across the floor at Star Wars Celebration before Rise of Skywalker. What was your thoughts in fan theory going in? Did you let that affect your viewing experience and your thoughts going into the theatre?
No, I mean, obviously we went into this blindly, John, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in a movie theatre because of that, you know. And I think part of that was because the UK did have it a day before, and you know, it wasn't, you know, social media wasn't saturated with spoilers galore, and if it was, I was making sure I was staying away from it. Obviously, part of my actual job is working on social media, so it's very hard to avoid hashtags on Twitter, etc., stuff that's trending.
YouTube video titles.
You know, just
I've seen a few.
So it was absolutely, you know, it was just one of those once in a lifetime experiences for us to get in there, because we did, you know, we went to see The Last Jedi. We kind of knew the plot to that because of spoiler leaks. Same with Avengers Endgame as well. You know, when we went to see Avengers Endgame, there wasn't much left really to be surprised about, although you still get the thrill of portals.
Oh, you know, Stephen, I was supremely surprised when Captain America grabbed obviously Mjolnir. That was a real moment for me. Can you tell I'm a fan of Captain America? Incidentally, we always joke about this. I avoid wearing this hat on shows because it's the shield, and then it's this. It's like, I'm Captain America, everybody. You know, I want to be Captain America. I try to avoid it.
There's something,
but that was a great moment for me.
There's something about the Spider-Man character that's been with me all my life. The first movie I went to see when I was only 3 years old was the Nicholas Hammond TV movie. It was shown in a cinema just outside Glasgow here in Scotland, and it was
that Eminem and Just Like Me or whatever it was?
It was a terrible, obviously low budget. I think it was set in Los Angeles, which at the time didn't have a lot of skyscrapers, so Spider-Man was very underused, which was surprising. But
I was concerned about that when they went to London.
Far
From Home, not a huge amount of tall buildings.
I know.
In London.
It worked though. I mean,
it did work, to be fair. In Venice.
But I think you know, just I had some concerns. I mentioned this the other night in terms of how they were going to handle Tom Holland. If potentially Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were going to be in this film, how much were they going to overshadow? They didn't at any point. You know, it was great to see those guys, but at the same time, it was still a Tom Holland movie. You know, and I know I saw your non-spoiler in regards to Zendaya, and I know that you're not the biggest fan of Zendaya. There was a couple of moments in this film that I really liked that she was involved in.
She's very tall,
very emotional. There was a particular scene involving her and Andrew Garfield, which I thought took my breath away, because I was such a fan of Andrew Garfield.
She was asking to crawl on the ceiling?
No, it wasn't that one.
I jest.
I'll tell you something, I love the way he just reached up and touched the ceiling and just stuck to it.
That was him showing off that he was the best, most athletic Spider-Man there's ever been. Tom would argue with that. He's very athletic. But he's just that showing off. I can tiptoe and touch the ceiling. Yeah, I mean, that was my first thoughts going in anyway, you know, and I think just to have those sort of reservations taken away from me, you know, and just getting in there and enjoying the film. I did get something wrong, because I did watch your non-spoiler back, because I wanted to see how much I get wrong. I do that quite a bit, especially when we're doing that Netflix series, John Hellbound. Every episode we get everything wrong. There was that, I thought they'd only be in it for maybe 15-30 minutes. But perhaps maybe screen time they were, but the way it was spread over the film, they came in a lot earlier, and I thought, you know, and I thought that was fantastic. It really surprised me how quickly they were in it. I was convinced they were going to appear in when they came to the Statue of Liberty scenes. I thought that was going to be the big entrance. I was wrong, and I was kind of glad I was wrong as well, because I cannot get enough of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man as well. So absolutely. Listen, Reeferman says, I successfully avoided all spoilers until going to see it. So did I. I stayed away. Actually, that's a lie. I asked Mike Porter to tell me if Tobey and Andrew were in it or not. That way I could just go in and enjoy the movie. You know, you're not the only person to say that. I've seen a couple of people asking for it in a sense to be spoiled, or maybe alluding to the fact they wouldn't be bothered if they were spoiled with also the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield stuff, because it would allow them to go in and just enjoy the movie and not look out for every potential opening for those characters. So you're not the only person to say that. I personally, I didn't want any of it spoiled, so I just stayed under a rock for the majority of this week until I went to see it on Wednesday there. I had no idea they would play such a huge part of the movie though, and literally knew nothing else about the movie. Yeah, I was the same. Spider-Man super.
They were going to be in there for quite a bit.
Yeah.
I had heard there was like 30 minutes of screen time or something like that. So I expected it was going to be pretty substantial, but I was afraid it wouldn't feel like enough.
Yeah.
But it felt like enough to me. It felt perfect.
And what they did,
I think it did, yeah.
at the start of their appearances was really console and be a shoulder for obviously Tom Holland's Peter Parker to maybe lie his little head on, and they can just reassure him, look, we've been there before. It will get better over years. Obviously their uncle's passed away, his aunt passed away. It was the same tragedy that really shaped Peter Parker in all those different dimensions into being Spider-Man instead of Spider-Boy, which is what we needed, because he's been Spider-Boy for 2.5 movies if you count Civil War, and he's fucking amazing appearance in the airport. It was required. It was one of my big issues with that character, being a boy, being stuck in school, really immature. This is one of my favourite, probably my favourite, much like you, Stephen. I grew up with the video games, I grew up with the early Raimi movies. Fucking loved this character. He was the character for me in Marvel. There wasn't really any other, I don't know, introduction to other Marvel characters. We have always admitted that we're kind of scared by the comics. There's a lot of comics and I don't even know where to start. So my pathway into these great characters was always the movies, and that really only started in 2008 with Iron Man and then onwards. So for me it was always about Spider-Man. He was always my character, and I've always had that affinity with him despite the hat I'm wearing. I can't get a Spider-Man hat, sadly. I need to get one. But yeah, when they came into the movie, obviously it was they were playing that sort of mentor figure, which I suspected they would, and then obviously they have to plunge in and fight all these fucking weird, strange bedfellow villains that have somehow got together and don't belong together. But look, we'll get into that. The story, writing, the character development, any themes explored. I'm not sure there's any glaring themes being explored here apart from having to grow up and fucking quickly.
Yeah.
And obviously not be so naive about life, because he was very naive, but then obviously Aunt May tells him you were right, so don't worry about it, even though I'm dying and I don't know it. What was your thoughts on the story? I'll go to you again, Sin. How did you think the story was written? I always have issues with that. Written, not wrote. How did you think they developed the characters? Because of course there's a wide array of characters. He is in the movie, Venom is in the movie, Banu. He's in the end credit scenes. It's spoiler fucking if it. We'll just get right out and admit it. He's in the first post-credit scene, and it's fucking glorious. You have to stick for that.
One of the issues I have, that's one of the plot hole questions I'm confused about.
Was it the...
I got the,
no, you didn't know Peter Parker?
The symbiote?
Well, so you know at the end of Venom 2, he's watching, in the post-credit scene, they're watching the TV, and then Venom, transforms into Venom and licks the TV screen where Peter Parker, and because they're talking about Peter Parker's this murder or whatever. And so like, oh, okay, so he's been in this universe the whole time. Yeah. But then at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home,
it flashes out.
Transported away. You're like, okay, no, he hasn't been in this universe. He's taken away. So then the timeline of that was confusing.
There was plot holes. There was. There definitely was. My only explanation for that could be that the J. Jonah Jameson moment where he unveils his identity, maybe that was the beginning of something. I don't know. We'd need to wait and see.
Is it maybe another version of that?
It may be another version of him again, because also we're going to get multiple Kangs, multiple variants of Kangs. Maybe this is a variant of
the reason I say that is
that
although it possibly could be another version, is because I don't want them to write off the Sinister Six too quickly, because I said to you, John, when they were curing all these villains, I went, well, bang goes our Sinister Six then. They're losing all their powers and going back to their own universes. But
Stephen, you've got Kraven the Hunter, you've got Venom, you've got Morbius, you've still got Vulture, you've got Scorpion.
But you'll have different versions of
existing
characters anyway, played by different actors, I suppose, The possibilities are endless.
Kingpin.
Unless he'd already been unless the transport had happened already at the end of Venom 2, and seeing him on the TV was just kind of a recap of everything that was going on in No Way Home at the time. Maybe that's what it was.
That was always my concerns with also the Sonyverse bleeding into the MCU. Well, that there should be creative discussions between these two studios, because obviously they're already working in harmony with Tom Holland's Spider-Man character. But my main concern was always, will it be perfect? Will it be seamless? These characters jumping over. We know that Vulture's in Morbius, and we know that now Eddie Brock's going to pop over at the MCU potentially for multiple movies. We've actually got Reefer Man asking, do you think the next trilogy will be Venom-centric? It might be. It could be. He's a big villain, man. He's one of the arch nemesis. Kingpin as well has always been a big villain. and I've not actually seen the episode of Hawkeye, but I've seen
Spider-Man films don't seem to follow that trend of carrying on a villain for 3 movies, though.
That's true.
They're all
yeah, because we had Mysterio.
You know?
Yeah, and that's the concern.
Yeah.
So maybe not Venom-centric, but I think he will appear at some point in the next 3 movies. I think they've introduced Kingpin to the MCU. We've not got to the Hawkeye episode because we're reacting, but I think Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is in the fucking MCU, so that's potential. We've also Charlie Cox. I don't know if it is D'Onofrio. I've not seen it yet. Don't want to spoil it for anybody that ain't seen it. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen it. Campea spoiled it, the bastard. So there's multiple threads connecting here. Charlie Cox is Daredevil. That Kingpin character being synonymous with him. He's in Hawkeye. They're in this universe now. His relationship is obviously heated.
Yeah. Listen, we've got a couple of questions in the comment section. I'll just run these off very quickly. I had a question in mind, like, what if Doctor Strange had cast the spell so that everyone forgets who Mysterio was instead of Peter Parker? That's coming in from Tough God YT. That's
true. Yeah, but then Peter would still be getting hounded at school, and the likes of MIT would still be refusing him entry, and really being this prejudice against his close friends and stuff like that would still be happening.
Yeah.
But I suppose if they forgot about Mysterio, they'd forget about the incident, so you might be right. Yeah.
Reefer Man Reviews says, will Flash Thompson become Venom somehow?
I love Flash Thompson.
He's so funny.
He's fucking, he was brilliant in this.
Yeah.
Just a sycophant clinging onto the coattails.
Yeah.
He hated him. See when he first appeared and he was
Peter,
alongside him, reading my book, I'm like, you fucking hated him, you little bitch, but I love him. He's hilarious.
And Banu says, do you think Kingpin from Hawkeye will meet Daredevil?
Potentially. I don't know if it's the same Kingpin. I've not seen the episode. Is it D'Onofrio? Do you know, Sin? Have you seen it?
I do not know. So I haven't seen all of the.
So I've just spoiled that for you. Sorry.
Oh.
I saw. Okay, I saw the episode where he's mentioned.
Yeah.
But I'm probably an episode or 2 behind.
Yeah, we're in 2.
I haven't seen him make an appearance yet. So I don't know. I mean, I would assume if they're gonna infiltrate Charlie Cox,
it has to be D'Onofrio.
You would think that D'Onofrio would be in there, and he was an excellent Kingpin.
He was.
He was freaking scary.
Yeah.
He was with the purple suit.
Terrifying.
And that fucking laser focused daily routine.
I told you this, John. He got right under my skin. D'Onofrio got right under my skin in that series.
Yeah, he was a bastard. Yeah.
I just when the episode finished, I couldn't stop thinking about him. It got inside my head. That's great acting.
It is. Steve Minogue's an incredible actor, Vincent. He's been in so much. My first brush with him was obviously in Sugar, more
cup of sugar.
Men in Black. Doesn't even look like him. That was my first brush with D'Onofrio. I think it'd be fair to say he's get better as times went on. But yeah, we've got sidetracked there, man.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts? If you get any thought, the 2 years, I'll let you both interject if you want. What was your thoughts on the story? My personal thoughts, I thought the story was handled pretty well. I know, is it John Walsh was the director? I don't know if he was involved in the script. Very hard to bring 5 iconic villains in from iconic versions of these characters. Bring in 3 Spider-Man characters and then do the story justice, giving them all airtime. I thought he wrote it pretty well. The concept of these characters coming in through this sort of failed spell and then neatly writing Doctor Strange out of it for half the movie by locking him in this sort of pocket universe.
Grand Canyon,
I thought it was pretty neat. I quite liked the way the story was wrote. I wouldn't really change it much if I was involved in it, and I could have maybe impacted a change on it, which I can't.
I would have either, to be honest with you. I thought that it flowed really well. They didn't. I also had that concern about how much they're going to linger on from Far From Home as well, because that was a pretty big bomb Mysterio dropped at the very end of that movie, and the repercussions of that. How much time are they going to give that? Because it's big news. Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and I thought, if they're going to go where they're going, with obviously this multiverse, are they going to give it enough time? Because it's it's a big sort of entry point for this phase going forward, and I know we're going to get more of that in the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange anyway, but I just felt, how they're going to handle that? But I felt they did it so organically. That first 40 minutes of the film was all about Tom Holland's Spider-Man's angst. Peter Parker, not Tom Holland, his angst, and this responsibility, that he's carrying, and the effects it's having on all the people around him. And I thought they did that brilliantly. They didn't really hang about too much on the whole sort of the bomb drop that he is, Spider-Man. And I thought it was well done because I felt that having the Aunt May character in there as well, and saying that classic line, you know, with great knowledge, great power.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, you know, I thought that was, it's a bit corny, I know, and it's a reused line they've recycled, but it just tied in so well to this film and its themes, you know. And you talked about the themes as well, John. Maturity, that was the big part of this film. Maturity for Tom Holland's Peter Parker, because I was very frustrated with him in Far From Home. I felt in Homecoming, you can accept it, you know, it's a reintroducing the character, you know, with a different actor. Far From Home, I just felt, God, this guy's so naive, it's not real, it's just going to please grow up. Just grow up, going to just become Spider-Man, you know. But in this film, it was just outstanding. I thought the writing for the characters was fantastic as well, the handling of the characters, for such a big cast, for such a wide range of characters as well, and you've got some big actors names in there: Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe, you know, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Charlie Cox. But listen, he hit the mark, you know, when he caught that brick. I was like, wow,
how fucking good was that moment when he caught the brick?
How did you do that? I'm that good a lawyer. So just and that was the other thing about the writing as well. The humour in it was just marvel. It was marvel to a T.
Son, have you got anything to add to the story? Have you on the writing? Do you agree with us that he did as good a job as he probably could in terms of writing these characters and giving them ample screen time, and then evolving this Peter Parker character into what he should have been, really? And for me, in the first movie he was in.
That was something that I really appreciated, was the writing. I felt like it had a lot of depth to it, and I was glad, like I mentioned in my review, that he did not escape the consequences of his actions, that there was a price to be paid. The price was he lost his aunt, he lost his friends and his girlfriend, and he didn't have really a big happy ending.
No Way Home,
I thought that was excellent. And he actually, you know, he was annoying me a lot in the beginning of the movie. Because I'm like, you idiot, what, and he kept yapping while Doctor Strange, and I was like, you know, of course this is supposed to happen because that's the whole plot device that gets everything started. But still, it was frustrating. It was aggravating. But, you know, I thought about some plot holes, and I don't know if I'm just overthinking this, but the villains, it seemed to me like in this movie, the villains were transported right around the time that they were having their big battles with Spider-Man and the original stories, then they were brought into this world. But the other Spider-Man, they were transported over after they had already lived several years and the battle in their life had happened. So that didn't make any sense to me.
Do you know something? I think that was I think that was artistic license due to Tobey Maguire's age. I think they had to shoehorn that in. They could have de-aged him, I suppose, but maybe Tobey didn't want that.
Alfred Molina, I thought, you know, in the trailer, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, that looks really weird. But when I was watching the movie, it didn't look bad at all.
No, it didn't. I says that. I thought they done an incredible job with the de-aging. Do you think they de-aged William Dafoe as well? I'm interested, son, because me and Stephen actually thought there was slight de-aging of Willem. Just slight. Not as much as Alfred. Obviously, Alfred's fucking totally different looking now.
Definitely didn't feel like there was as much with Willem, if any at all, because he looked about the same as he did when he was in that movie. I can't remember the name of the movie he played in about a dog. He looked about the same. So, and that was only like a year or two ago. I don't know. If they did, maybe it was not very much, or maybe it was a lot of good lighting or makeup or something.
Listen, he doesn't look bad, to be fair. He doesn't. He actually, he's always looked kind of like that for like the last 25 years. He's always had that skin. It's almost like an aging Jim Carrey skin. But it's kind of, it looks stretchy. It looks as though he can manoeuvre it into different positions very easily.
Stretchy, that's a perfect description.
You know what I'm talking about? His Jim's starting to get a bit older and he looks kind of like that. So, but he's always looked like that for me. But you're probably right, Sin. That's probably a nitpick. But my rationale for that would be, again, I think the main reasons for bringing these two Spider-Man characters in isn't probably necessarily for the villains to take them on, because they could have probably utilised Peter, Tom Holland's one, and Doctor Strange, and maybe hatch some sort of plan to deal with those 4 or 5 villains anyway, because it was only really 4, wasn't it? Green Goblin came in at the end when it was all neatly packed away and ready to end. But I think it was just probably because they were being used as a mentor figure to maybe impart their wisdom on younger Peter, and then they want the best of both worlds. They want the young villains, the youngish villains, the way we remember them, but older, wiser Peters. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. I just enjoyed it.
I mean, like I said, it's just like, these are the things my mind does after I watch a film, and then I start to analyze it a little bit more. Like I did the same thing in Terminator Salvation. Yeah. When, like, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I'm like, how in the world did they find anti-rejection medicine for John Connor? Yeah.
No, listen, I'm the same. I'm the same. To be fair, I fucking analyse things, and I'll find myself nitpicking at times. And it's like, that's a good thing to have when you're watching a movie.
Listen, I was the same with Electro. I thought, why would he accept wanting to go back to the way he was? He was a goofball. Yeah. I would prefer to be Electro. I know. You know.
But he didn't want to go back to Stephen.
No. There was a reluctance, though. There was a reluctance, you know. He kind of just accepted it at the end, you know.
He did. And then, obviously, why would Alfred Molina, who was a bit of a maniacal... Alfred Molina, I'm talking about the actor here. Alfred's not maniacal. Just want to state that. Why would Doc Ock, even when he's got the chip back, I know he had it under control, these arms, but he was always a bit fucking crazy as well, like Norman Osborn. That's why I laughed when he was doing a character assassination of Norman about the halfway point in this movie. I'm like, Doc, Tavius, you're the fucking same. What are you talking about, bitch? He always had that edge. But anyway, well, it doesn't matter. There is, you can nip.
He had a turn. He like at the very end of Spider-Man 2, he did sort of come to his senses.
He did.
So it made sense that his character behaved the same way in this movie.
Yeah, it does. So there you go. You see, you can nitpick. He can, and I love to do it, and we'll do it as we go on. I'm absolutely fucking certain we will. By connection, I says the handling of the villains. How do we feel the villains were handled? Because obviously, having 5 villains, very ambitious effort from Sony and Marvel to team up and try and give us 5 villains. Obviously, the much maligned Spider-Man 3 from what, 2004 was that? I don't know.
7.
Was that as fucking recent as that? Jesus Christ, so it's been 14 years since he played Spider-Man. As I says, I'll just use the excuse that I was young, and I don't really remember clearly. I wasn't that young in 2007. I was fucking 18. I should remember that. But yeah, the much maligned Spider-Man 3, obviously lots of villains in there. I think you had Sandman, you had Hobgoblin. Who was the other one?
Little Goblin Jr. You had Sandman, and you had Venom.
It was Venom,
Eddie Brock, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about Venom. Yeah,
it was that guy from the 70s show. I can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did a Star Wars edit, didn't he? Not that long, a trailer. Yeah. Fantastic. I think that's what he's doing now these days. But
what he's doing? Fuck.
Yeah, I didn't actually see thinking back to that film from 2007. It was a bit congested, but it wasn't a bad film. It was okay for the Spider-Man standards. It probably just fell by the wayside, but as a standalone film, it's not bad.
It's because of those first 2 Raimi movies. To me, still the greatest Spider-Man movies ever. We'll get into that though. That's a spoiler. We'll get into that. But yeah, it was congested. There was obviously criticism over the way they handled the villains. Do you feel that they did a better job in this movie? Because I've watched the likes of Stuckman, and Stuckman has some nitpicking to be had for the utilisation of the villains in this movie. He felt that they were in their own little pockets, and they felt compartmentalised in this movie. I personally thought that was necessary. I don't know how you can introduce 5 villains in the context they're introduced, coming at different points into this universe, and then and make it work any other way.
Get on like a gang,
coming in like a gang, skipping. They've all got their own stories, their own reasons for being, their own reasons for being in this movie. I don't know how you could handle it any bit. I personally thought they did an okay job of handling the villains. I thought they done a reasonable job of trying to humanise them on a level, try to show also their ills and their issues, and then try to have obviously Dr. Octavius and Peter Parker fix them if they wanted to be fixed. I don't know if you could do much more with the villains in this movie, but look, I want to get some different opinions. Did you feel like they handled the villains well, Stephen?
I felt they handled them the best they could. They're coming from different universes as well. They're not going to know each other. Apart from obviously Doc Ock and Green Goblin, they're the only 2 that had a relationship. The others were, the others knew of each other, but not obviously on a personal level. Mm-hmm. There was times, especially, at the start, I get where Stuckman's coming from in terms of, the segregation, because the way they came into the film, that's the way it was. They were put into those little cells to begin with, and you didn't get much of the Lizard at all.
Was very quiet.
the Sandman. That's the only gripe I
Stephen,
probably
you
have.
fucking missed the Sandman coming in though. You went away to the toilet as Sandman was coming in.
But
with Electro. That was a great sequence.
I knew that's what they were coming in, and they're not my favourite villains, John. But so I was like, I'm going to take a break just now.
Sandman was on the side of Peter initially. He was on the side. He realised he was from a different universe.
Yeah.
And he was helping Peter kind of fend off Electro, who was trying to wreak havoc. Yeah. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think apart from that, no, I thought they did their best for what they had there, you know. And I think I don't think there's any other way they could have done it. I don't know what that yes was. Did you hear that?
I don't know if there's anybody playing.
Was there a football match on or something?
There must be a football match on.
All right, okay. That was loud. But anyway, I thought they handled it very well. I think, you know, when you're dealing with so many characters, well-known characters as well, you've got to remember that this is people's memories from 20 years ago, you know, all coming back into this one picture. For me, on a personal level, I was just happy to see Doc Ock and the Green Goblin having screen time. That was something I never thought would ever happen in my lifetime, because obviously they had their own films, 1 and 2 from the Tobey Maguire years, and just having those two in the same platform and that film was just a dream to come true to me.
Yeah, Sin, have you got any thoughts on the way the villains were introduced to the story, the way they handled their presence in this movie? Because obviously having 5 villains, all fighting and vying for eyeballs, all having their own sort of story, all having to impart that upon a new Peter Parker who doesn't know him, know them. Did you feel that John Watts and also the writing team did a good job of utilising these villains in this movie?
Like they did, because for one thing, we have to remember these are villains, these are characters that have already been established in our minds. We don't need their backstories. We don't need super big character development. We already know who they are. And so that was kind of a plus already. That didn't have to be established. And so I felt like because of that, even though there were a ton of them, I felt like it was very adequately done. That was one thing I came away from it feeling, wow, this was quite well written. They were integrated well, and you could understand them. They had the same personalities that they did from the original movies, and the interaction between them was fun to see the villains from the different universes talking to each other. I was pleased with it. I have no complaints about that, really. And
obviously, Doc Ock saying he can't possibly be Norman Osborn. He died years ago. Yeah, it's either someone else in the suit. I'm paraphrasing heavily here. It was a couple of days ago, or you're going out to face a ghost. That was a great line.
Yeah,
I thought that line was brilliant.
Older, right?
Yeah,
it's another little plot hole. Like, if he died, why is he older?
Yeah, yes. That's why they should have de-aged him. If they can turn Alfred Molina back to where he was fucking 17 years ago, why not do it with the great Willem Dafoe? I suppose he'd maybe objected because he wants to do it all himself. He's a great actor. We'll get into that again.
I think that's why they got rid of the mask very early on. I think probably that was one of the reasons. I think Willem Dafoe didn't want to be behind that mask.
Yeah, that was another issue Stuckman had with this movie. The way they introduced Norman Osborn, they look at the mask, then they cut to him right away. He had a gripe with that. He thought he should have gave him a dramatic introduction, maybe pan up to his face. Don't need that for me. It's Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
he is a drama.
I mean, that's a minor quibble. I think my son made the comment that he wished that he'd been in his mask more.
It's a cool mask.
Yeah, but I guess at the time he shattered it because he was Norman, he was himself, and then of course the mask was gone. So it didn't really bother me a whole lot, but yeah, the iconic mask was missing for most of the movie.
You know what that put me in mind of? That put me in mind of The Last Jedi when Snoke tells him to take off that ridiculous helmet, and he smashes it, and I just felt you lost something. Because obviously you do get to see the character, the actor doing his work and producing some great moments. And most of this movie is that conflict between obviously the Goblin and Norman Osborn. But there's just something about that mask, to see that mask. I wish he hadn't damaged it, because then at the end we could have went full fucking Green Goblin and had him fighting in his incredible regalia. But he looked pretty good with a hood up, to be fair. Showing that he can wear a hoodie at any age.
Yeah.
It's not just these young hoodies, these mobsters kicking about, stabbing old people and stuff like that wear hoodies. Anyway, I'm rambling here, as I'm in danger of doing.
And Hellbound.
I'm in danger of doing it.
I was afraid that Tobey Maguire character was going to die. in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what a moment, by the way.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
What a fucking moment that was,
I
by
was
the way.
upset with that. I was really upset with that.
See when Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, said to him, though, you're in a lot of pain, aren't you? He's like, yeah. I was fucking howling at that. Howling at that moment. Because he's hugging him like, this guy's just been stabbed in the back. He's fucking sweating like fuck. He is in real pain. For him to see him, you're in a lot of pain just now, aren't you? Yep. Loved it. Yeah. See the interactions. Well, fuck the other shit just now. We'll get into that in a moment. I've not even got this down as a point I want to speak about, but it's also a huge point to speak about. We'll get into this other shit when we get into it. The interactions between the three Spider-Man characters, I keep wanting to say Spider-Men, but I know that's not...
Spider-Mans.
It's not correct. Is it correct? I just enjoyed that a huge amount. Once we get over the whole grief that Tom Holland's version was going through, Spider-Man 1 was going through, and he allowed them to maybe impart some wisdom, and see when they started teaming up together, and in that finale, when they take that little respite to calm down and get this confusion out the way, who's doing what, because
that was fantastic.
that was great.
Yeah.
But Stephen says, and he's right, that final sequence was really chaotic.
The first couple
of
minutes
muddy.
It was like, what's happening? There's too much going on. They've
There's
got
too
5
much going
villains
on.
over here. We've got 3 Spider-Men jumping about.
I could only tell Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell who was Toby and who was
Yep.
Andrew
But-
because their suits looked identical to me.
Yeah, they did.
I had no idea who was who.
But how they explain that is an in-universe thing, where they are actually confused. They don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
It's chaotic because they've never worked together as a team. I thought that was fucking cool.
Yep.
And just that little moment they have speaking to each other before the villains come, the little moment where they sit down and try and work together as a team. Look, you're Spider-Man 1, 2, 3. I says in the theatre, there'll be people out there kicking up a fuss about Tom Holland saying he's Spider-Man 1.
Yeah,
I'm
one of them.
guaranteeing it.
I'm one of them. Tobey Maguire's number 1.
But
I noticed that. I was like, wait, shouldn't he be number 1, Andrew be number 2, and he'll be number 3?
It's his universal.
Yeah, true.
It's Tom's universe, so we'll give it to him. I'll let him away with it.
Yeah.
And Tom's... Look, I'm someone that does weight training. Sadly, my thyroid's killing me just now, so I'm not really putting muscle mass on. But I have to get it off my chest. Tom Holland's physique is a fucking joke in this movie. See when at the start when he whips the top off, I'm like, mate, that is unbelievable fucking what you've put in for that physique. I respect it tremendously. Someone that lifts weights multiple times a week, I can see the dedication that's went in. And I was talking about Garfield having a better physique, but realistically, I think this is probably the best physique we've seen in a Spider-Man today. The guy is shredded. He's put the fucking work in.
You said it was a joke. I thought you meant it didn't look good.
No, it's fucking a joke, as
like, no, he looks really good. Actually, poor Tobey Maguire looks tiny.
Yeah, he looked frail. He looked so frail in this film. But do you know something? It took me back to the 2002 film as well, when Tobey Maguire had a similar scene with his top off, and I always thought his body looked weird. I don't know, there's something about his physique. I mean, he was in good shape, don't get me wrong, but there was just something, it was as if it was a baby with muscles. It was so weird looking, you know?
No, but you know, that brought me back to another moment. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man saying, so if you get a suit with you, are you going to be rocking the, what is it he says, modern day
pastor
look? I was fucking, honestly, because as someone that is aware of what goes on, also happens over in the States with these sort of pastors and their private jets and their Gucci belts and stuff like that. I know exactly what he's talking about. They've all got that look where they can hallelujah touch their forehead and bring cripples back to walking and stuff like that. He looked like a modern day pastor. So that was that's the Marvel humour for me. It's just, it can be a throwaway line, it can be a sequence that makes you laugh, but there's so
little tiny things. Did you notice they were calling him amazing? They told
yeah. Oh, that was a great moment as well. You are amazing. Oh, thank you. I needed that. They're fucking trying to sort his lower back problem as well. He's doing that. Took me back to Mrs. Doubtfire. There's so many great moments between these Spider-Man characters, and
we can't avoid the whole organic web slinging thing as well.
Yeah.
That was
because that's questions the fans have had.
Yeah.
How can he do this? Why is it this?
It was never really explained.
No. It was never explained.
And he doesn't know how or why.
Do you know
Tom Holland saying, is it
Tom
only
Holland was so defensive. Peter Parker, that is, was so defensive when Tobey Maguire said, "You know, can you not do that?"
Yeah.
What? He's getting all defensive. offensive about it.
It's only your wrist that comes out. I fucking love that. There's another
Yeah.
moment. There's so many great lines in here. Fucking great moment.
The best lines were from Andrew Garfield, though.
They
felt
were,
his
yeah.
lines were so funny.
They were absolutely brilliant. And look,
That's really funny in here. Yeah.
he was. Look, I forgot how fucking good that guy is as well, man. You need to give respect. I think back to the likes of Hacksaw Ridge and things like that. This guy is stupendous.
I think the humour was deliberate on the writer's part, though, to put that into his character, because before this film, his character was left with a lot of tragedy and darkness.
Yeah.
So to bring him in and lighten him up out was just the remedy.
And then security.
Thing to do.
He almost feels like he's not getting as much worth as the other two. They're rhyming off the villains. I thought this guy, it was from space. I thought this guy in space, who was from space. But I just thought this guy, it was a rhino machine in
a Russian, yeah. It was in a rhino machine, yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
You see the insecurities of them, they're bouncing off each other. This is what I wanted for this movie.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti, it was.
Paul Giamatti, yeah. This is what I wanted for this movie going in. I wanted to see these three characters together. I wanted to see the dynamic of these three different guys from three different universes, three different eras, bouncing off each other. And to see it sitting in the theatre, just taking place before my eyes, it was really an absolute pleasure to watch, man. I was just sitting, it flew by for me, this movie. I don't even know how long it is. There you go.
Hours. Yeah.
It was 2.5 hours.
Flew by.
The night before, I'd seen Nightmare Alley, which is about just under 2.5 hours, and that felt long. I mean, the movie was good, but I was like, checking my clock. But this one, it was like...
Didn't want it to end, yeah.
It was like, oh, it's over already.
It was incredible.
I want to see it again.
And it's so rewatchable, so
Yeah.
you can go back and watch this again,
Can't
and I
wait to
will
see
be
this
going
again.
back to the
Yeah.
theatre to see this, hopefully before our little gremlin of a leader locks the place down because of Omicron. But look, we'll not darken the tone by speaking about that fucking shite. What was I going to say? Yeah, Peter and Strange as well. Peter Parker and Strange. Obviously at the start, we've got some nice moments between these characters. There's a respect being bestowed upon Peter from Dr. Stephen Strange, finally. Don't call me sir, call me Stephen. That feels weird, but I'll accept it. Then obviously in the middle of the movie, he wrongs Strange, and he also says, call me sir. Don't call me Stephen.
Rightly so.
And then by the end though, he's telling him, call me Stephen again. That just for me typified in three little remarks, three little bits of dialogue, the journey these two characters go on, and the maturity levels that Peter has by the end of the movie.
Yep.
I really loved the dynamic of these two characters. I thought Stephen Strange, you take Benedict Cumberbatch, if you were to tell me that he's in this movie, which I didn't know until fairly recently, and then tell me he only had about 10 minutes of screen time, if that, probably 5 minutes of screen time, I'd have says, what the fuck are you doing?
Like it was so much more than that.
Do you think it was...
Like he was pretty significant in here.
Do you think he was about 5 or 10? How much time do you think he was in? Because obviously at the start, he's quite heavy at the start, but then he gets locked away in that universe for a good chunk of the movie. Then obviously at the end, he comes in. I thought it was quite... I mean, you put Cumberbatch in a movie, he's going to have an impact anyway. That's just the nature of that fucking beast of an actor that I've loved since Sherlock, incidentally. Not a lot of people like Sherlock, and they need to know about Sherlock and that Burberry coat. Have you seen Sherlock sin, incidentally? We're going off in tangents here.
Yeah, that was my introduction to Benedict Cumberbatch. I remember seeing it, like on Netflix, they would show the thumbnails and stuff, and I was like, that guy looks really unusual because he has an unusual
Yeah,
he
does.
I don't know about this.
He's related to the royal family, that's why.
Is he?
Yep.
Is he related to the royal family?
Yep.
I don't know.
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
But once I started watching it, and when he started talking, I'm like, hello. I like your voice.
And that coat, we have to I just can't give enough praise for that fucking £2,000 Burberry coat that he had on that I was fucking obsessed with for years and wanted to get but couldn't afford. And funnily enough, I still can't afford it. I've always pitied Martin Freeman having to act alongside him. This little short, stumpy 5'6" guy acting beside this Tony and educated 6 foot fucking beast of an actor. I felt for Martin because Martin's great in his own way, but he was just never. He was like Ringo next to John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George
I will
Harrison.
say one thing though: he cannot do an American accent.
No, he struggles.
He's terrible. He's terrible. Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman can't do it. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't notice that so much with Freeman. I noticed it with Benedict. So what I've mentioned in some of my comments about him, some people, like someone in the comment section got a little annoyed with me that I said it, but I wasn't putting him down. I was just like, I can tell he's trying very hard to sound American because he was super enunciating his words. You don't really talk that way. He was like like, you know what I mean? He was drawing the word out to be. He sounded completely American, but he was enunciating more than a natural.
And you don't have that sort of same feeling with the likes of Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield.
Perfect.
Right.
Who are so
perfect.
English. They are so English in their own.
Never know.
No?
It's just so funny because I'm like,
I'm telling you.
Last night I was watching audience reactions. They had some up from when it was playing in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so I was watching. My husband's Mexican, so I was watching it, and I was like, it's really funny. It was showing the 3 Spider-Man. I'm like, it's really funny. Out of those 3 Spider-Man, only one's American.
It's true. And
it's strange, yeah.
It is, and you wouldn't think it was Toby. It is Toby, isn't it? Even now,
it's Toby.
It's definitely Toby. Listen, I'm telling you, you know about accents. This is the last thing I'll say about it. Speaking to a Canadian today, trying to sort insurance for a car. This guy was from Nova Scotia. Best fucking accent in the world. The best. Deep. I says to him, mate, you've got a voice for fucking radio. What a voice he had. What an accent.
As long as you didn't say he had a face for radio.
No, he's not got a face, he had a voice for radio. This guy was unbelievable. Nova Scotia, Canada. I was about to say Canada. What an accent. But anyway, fuck this. Back to the review. Standout moments. Do it. Now I'm going to go through us all here and ask. I'll go to Sin first. I've got 3 questions. 4 questions. 3 questions. We'll go to the 4th one after. Regarding standout moments, Sin. Your favourite action sequence in it? Look, I've fucking was up at 4 a.m. writing out all the action sequences, just trying to re-jog my memory. There is 5 action sequences in this movie. I've got my favourite. What would you say is your favourite action sequence in this movie? Your favourite emotive moment? Because there's a couple, but really there's a standout, which should be obvious to most people. And your favourite surprise appearance, if there even was a surprise in there. Your favourite of maybe Toby, Andrew, or Charlie. What was, and also Tom at the end, Tom Hardy. What would you say was your 3 favourite sort of separate moments in this movie? Action sequence, emotional moment, and surprise appearance. I'll put you under the bus.
All the action sequences, so it's hard to narrow that one down. But I guess if I would say favorite, maybe would be the one that was the most suspenseful. Was when Doc Ock comes in, and the lady's car is about ready to fall. That sort of stuff. That was like really. My brother called me today, and he said he saw on Reddit, someone posted on Reddit that he was getting notifications from his Apple Watch, 6 times his heart rate had gone more than
I've had that once when I was sleeping, which concerned me. Clearly I was dreaming about getting chased again. That happens a lot.
That one, because the final one, there was so much going on. It was a little, like you said, very chaotic.
No.
And my favorite...
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll rhyme them off for you, right? You've got the highway interaction with Doc Ock. That's what you mentioned. Electro Sandman coming in. Also, you've got the sort of Sandman try to equalise the electricity from Electro. Then you've got Doctor Strange Spider-Man. It's not so much what is an action sequence, all of the worlds tilting and stuff like that. Then you've got Green Goblin ragdolling Tom Holland's Peter Parker through ceilings and down floors, destroying that building.
Why they were fighting right before May died.
And then you've got the finale. That's the main action sequences I could remember. So I don't know what your favourite would be, but I know mine.
The one with Sandman, that one was okay.
It's alright, yeah. That's what Stephen walked out, John.
And obviously there was a lot of emotional impact to the one when Peter and Green Goblin were fighting in the apartment right before May died. That had a lot of emotional attachment to it because of what happened at the end of that scene. But probably the one with Doc Ock, and then of course Green Goblin comes in as well, just because those 2 big villains, they're here, yay!
And he thinks he's won. He thinks he's cleared it up. He's in the clear. He saved this woman. He's saved his future. Then Green Goblin comes in. He's like, no, bitch, no.
Yeah. Right.
And then he gets whisked off to the dungeon at the Emporium. And gets told everything. So it was but sorry, I'm cutting in. Have you got any other favourite emotional moment in the movie?
Okay.
Favourite special appearance, I'll call it.
Okay, standout special appearance favorite was when Andrew and Toby appeared.
Yeah.
Obviously, and because the theater went crazy. I heard there was one theater where the manager or whatever came in and was telling them to stop screaming. It was like, how can you stop screaming? You're excited. What the heck? That moment was, I was literally, my son and I both were clapping and people were yelling. That was really, really fun and exciting. As far as emotional, probably the departure scene or the goodbye moment between MJ and Peter.
Yeah.
Because that one actually...
Coffee shop, yeah.
And I'm not a Zendaya fan, as you know. That one really got me.
Yeah.
I thought she did very well in that scene. And you could just feel, it's like, oh, wow, that's really sad. And so a little part of you is like, no, you don't want it to happen. But then the other part of me, the logical part of me is like, yes, this needs to happen because this is all your fault and you need to pay the price, Peter, and it's the only way to fix it.
Yeah.
You don't get this happy ending that you want. So I really appreciated that moment.
Stephen, favourite action sequence if you've got one?
Oh yeah,
Favourite guest appearance, special appearance, and your favourite emotional moment?
It's got to be the Doc Ock introduction on the we call it a motorway over here. Although I'd seen big chunks of that in the trailers, it was still had this excitement about it, you know, because I knew it was going to be stretched out even more in the movie itself, and just having those interactions and the fact that his assumption was that it was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man at that stage, and I kind of didn't like that they revealed that bit in the trailer when he said, "You're not Peter." I would have kept that under wraps for the cinema, because that would have been a nice little sort of, okay. I thought that was fantastic. I thought the CG was amazing as well. There was bits in the trailer I think the trailer might have been early CG stuff. You know, it wasn't its final sort of package, if you like, because you mentioned earlier, Sin, in terms of Alfred Molina, his de-aging was a bit iffy in the trailer, and it looked a lot better in the cinema, and I think a lot of the CG in that sequence was highly improved.
You know what that'll be, though, Stephen?
I had heard that they were down to the wire with CG, visual stuff.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been finished.
Yeah,
it was had there been
some rough stuff going in there, some rough cuts, but you know, and then the introduction, obviously, of Green Goblin, I thought it was amazing, and then the bit that I got a kick out of was obviously Doc Ock referencing him as well. That's what, you know, it's all connected now, and I like that. For me, Cam, what was it? What was the other question, John? The one with
most emotional and the special appearance. Your favourite emotional moment.
Special appearance for me was Toby and Andrew. It's funny because Toby is my favourite, but for some reason I got a bigger kick out of Andrew's reveal when he took the mask off. It was just
came in with the suit.
Yeah. Toby came in with a boarding day pasta.
Strolled in, you know, all calm and Peter Parker-esque.
Fucking stubble as well, Toby, didn't he?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Come on.
I know.
Get that off your face. Half as we would say.
But I think it's just because I forgot how Tobey Maguire played Peter Parker in those original films, and he was doing the same here. You know, it was just being very underplayed and you know, under the radar. But I thought both introductions were fantastic. Charlie Cox's was good, but I kind of knew that was coming. There was more rumblings about that on social media that it was coming as well. So it wasn't. And that scene where you have Happy Hogan, you've Aunt May and Peter around the table, that was on the John Campea show. That shot. Yeah. So you know, that was true after all. That one, you know, that photograph. So it kind of killed that momentum for me for the introduction.
I stayed away from spoilers, but I knew the three Spider-Man characters were in it because I'd seen the shot of Andrew Garfield with the blue screen.
Yeah, I think everybody was trying to. I think everyone's just tried to. No, it's not true. It's not true. I'm getting into this spoiler free. It's not true. That's fake. That's Photoshop. And the other thing was obviously the emotional scenes for me was probably, it was nostalgic for me. It was the Doc Ock and Peter Parker. You know, meeting up again and saying, "How you doing, my boy?" You know, I just that was the way they were. That was the relationship they had before everything turned sour in Spider-Man 2 for me. You know, and I thought that both of them, Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina, were fantastic in that film. That's why it's one of my favourites. It's one of my favourite Spider-Man films. You know, and I think just having that nostalgia back there, I went, that's the way they were before they obviously, you know, went their different ways. And the other moment for me was the saving of MJ. There was something that always bugged me about Andrew Garfield's treatment in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, and the way they left it with obviously Gwen dying. And it was, I remember watching that for the first time and being so shocked at what they did, the decision they made to have her die, and it was Peter's fault, you know, and to have that sort of
that really surprised you, because I knew when she showed up in that scene wearing that coat and the boots, and I was like, dead. Okay, this is where she's going to die, because I used to have that comic when I was a kid.
No, that surprised me, son. I didn't see that coming. So I was really shocked when it happened. I was so upset about it as well, because I thought
moment,
both Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield's chemistry in that film was fantastic as well. One of the better points of Amazing Spider-Man 2. So have that moment in this film, him save MJ the way he did. He didn't do it the same way that he tried to save Gwen, obviously.
Yeah.
And then dragged out a little bit more when he lands with her, and you can see the emotion.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that scene was a little bit too abruptly
Yeah.
ended.
I know. I would have left it hanging.
You know, you mentioned that. That's one of the few criticisms I've actually got for this movie. They don't linger in the emotive moments very long. It's almost as if they're scared that the audience will be bogged down by it. No, let's get right back into a happy or an action sequence or a bit of Marvel humour.
Could be, yeah.
There's a couple. And what for me, one of the standout emotional moments for me was when they try and discover where Tom would be. I'm saying Tom as if he's Peter. Tom Holland's Peter Parker would be. He's on the rooftop. They obviously go, and then they obviously Ned and MJ go and hug him. I thought that was a great moment. You can see the real emotion, the raw emotion, the closeness of these friends. And I think for me, my standout emotional moment, and I'll get to Mike's comments, incidentally, I'll get to them. That moment built to what for me is the best emotional moment. It was emotional for me because I'm obviously soft as shit. And that was the ending. The ending of Peter getting into the coffee shop, knowing he's gave it all up.
Yeah,
and he's trying to rekindle the relationship with MJ, and he sees Ned sitting in his phone. He knows who they are, they don't know who he is. He's on his own, but he almost respects it. He doesn't want to intrude on him too much, so he walks away. But just the connection between him and MJ, she kind of knows deep down there's something there, the eye contact. That moment on the rooftop, how close they were all he had in life. Now, he'd lost his Aunt May, he had nothing. To see that then playing out at the end where he doesn't have them, they don't know who he is, I thought that was a fucking special moment, man. Poignant, but a sort of maturing moment for Peter. He had to go through that. He had to step into his own 2 feet into his own world, if you'd like. He buys the flat. He's now the Peter that we know and love from previous movies. He's got a brand new
suit as well. Nice
a brand new suit.
Blue suit, yeah.
And Stephen, that was an important moment for me, that suit, because he's given up Tony Stark's Spider Iron suit, whatever the fuck you'd call it.
And I don't know, maybe one of you guys can correct me in terms of him sort of whitewashing his history and the fact that he's got no connection to any of these characters anymore. Is this Sony taking him over to their universe now?
But it takes in there and the Ned actor with them as well. There's no reason they wouldn't. You realise I don't remember the Ned character's actor. I don't know the actor.
He's good as well.
He's brilliant as well. Jacob Batalon, fucking great. Yeah, they could take them with them, Stephen. I think that's just to mature the character. He's on his own 2 feet now. It just looks like they're
closing down all the sort of
they could be
stories.
We've got a new trilogy, Stephen. Has it not been announced? We've got a new trilogy in the MCU. Mike has commented. He says it's a movie 20 years in the making. I had no idea that I needed this movie. It definitely has closure. The 3 Spider-Man in this movie was done well. Mike, it was for me. These characters needed a fitting end to their tenures. I hope it's not the end for Toby, incidentally. I still want to see Toby in that Sam Raimi Multiverse of Madness. I hope he comes back again. But they needed some closure. Sorry?
I said I wonder if he's coming. I don't know. I just kind of got the feeling that this was the end for them.
I think
My
it might
son
be.
pointed out, this is interesting because that means those other Spider-Men, those are canon now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think it is the end. And that's why what Mike says is so true. It's a fitting end. It's closure. They finally get to... I mean, they felt unfinished to me. Their times as Spider-Man felt unfinished.
They were supposed to have another Spider-Man, from what I understand. Spider-Man 4, that didn't happen because I believe Spider-Man 3 ended up being kind of a disappointment overall. And probably, I think the same thing maybe with Andrew's Spider-Man. So this way they were able to kind of do justice, give those characters a nice, satisfying sort of end to their time.
Son, I don't know if that's coming from your end, but it's terrifying me. There's like a noise. I keep thinking it's coming from my end. I'm looking at my dog. It's down below.
I think it's Harley.
Is it Harley? Harley's
snoring, yeah.
Oh, we've just screwed. We've lost.
Oh dear.
What's happened there? We've went all Inception there. We'll go to this. Is Sin away? I don't know.
I think we're going...
Are you still here, Sin?
You're still here, Sin, but you're just not on screen.
My Discord crashed.
We'll go to this. We're back. No, that's all right, Sin. That is all right. You just keep talking. We'll just keep talking anyway. I've still to say my bit anyway about my favourite action sequence. We'll go back to Mike, because Mike has commented a couple of times. If Doctor Strange fixed the multiverse at the end, it was going Inception on our screen, but not in the actual not in the actual OBS. I don't know if Sin's back. She's not yet.
Can you not hear me?
Can hear you, yeah.
We can hear you,
yeah.
but for some...
Can't see you.
Can't see you. We'll go back to this. If they'd fixed the multiverse at the end of the movie, then why are they talking about the multiverse being broken in the end credit trailer? Did Peter lose his friends in vain? What I think happened there, Mike, and it's just my take on it, is I think the spell that backfired to try and obviously wipe the memory of Peter Parker was what obviously Doctor Strange had repaired at the end. I don't think the multiverse itself, I don't even think that's took place yet. Because obviously we see all of the threads rupturing from the sacred timeline.
If you've seen the trailer at the very end of the film, the post-credit
trailer,
a
bit to go crazy.
He's broke some rules and he's got to answer to them, and I think that's the beginning of the multiverse. I don't think this is the actual multiverse itself. This is more like a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think
it's like a small sort of fraction of the multiverse.
I think it's going to hit the fan, Stephen, with that.
Yeah.
He says the acting was done so well. It was. There's some really great standout moments in there. Glad you all enjoyed it. I'm wondering when I can see a third time. Have you seen it twice already, mate? That's fucking crazy. I've only seen it once.
Yeah. Can we get Sin back?
Is Sin back? She's not back yet.
And why my camera's not working. I wondered if I should leave and then come back in again.
Well, what we'll do, Sin, 2 seconds. I'll actually end the call and then I'll come back in and I'll see if that'll maybe help. But we'll keep talking because meanwhile we are just doing my thing here, talking away.
But I don't see myself still.
I'll bring this up. Nope, still can't see it. We'll keep it as an audio just now, Sin. It's alright. We'll keep it as an audio just now. We'll go to this and we can still come in and give you, you can still speak. Why are we getting movie news up here? What the fuck is going on? It's a shambles. We'll bring back to this. It's not movie news. OBS is a joke. My favourite action sequence for me, it would be the Doctor Strange moment with Peter Parker. I just thought on a visual, on a technical level, that was incredible. It took me back to Mads Mikkelsen and his villainous ways in the first Doctor Strange movie. But more than that, what it did for Peter Parker, almost like what Matt Reeves is going to do for Batman, making him the greatest detective in the world or whatever the fuck it is, maybe Sherlock Holmes, I don't know. But delving into his abilities, what it did for Peter Parker, Tom Holland's version, it showed you how gifted he is at maths. He knows his shit, he knows all of the angles, and he really entrapped Doctor Strange in that web. I just thought that was a stunning moment. And just what it did, it allowed it become Spider-Man in a sense, because if Doctor Strange is in a Spider-Man movie, it's almost like a Doctor Strange and Spider-Man movie, because Benedict is maybe a bigger presence than Tom just now. So for me, that was quite intelligently worked. That was a great action sequence. Also, there's loads of action sequences in there, man, that are stunning. The finale, for a whole host of reasons, was pretty fucking cool. Stephen, I'm the same as you, and probably Sin. The favourite guest appearance would be also Andrew coming in. I thought that was a stunning moment. Yeah. Just we seen him in the sort of alleyway with a suit on. The portal opens up. You've got the fun of Ned doing magic as well. His mother's saying things to him.
Yeah.
And also he steps in. You hear it's not Tom Holland, and he takes the mask off, and it's just a fucking unbelievable moment. One of those iconic moments for me.
Just an eruption in theatre, John, as you call. It just I've never experienced that, and the thing is, the UK theatres and the UK sort of theatre audiences are very reserved most of the time, John. We didn't even get a reaction like that at Endgame.
No,
which
you should have.
Really?
You know, no, we didn't. We didn't get that. We're very conservative over here when it comes to.
I'm gone forever.
Well, just keep talking. It's all right, son. You're there in spirit. So it's absolutely fine. You can come in, we'll still come to you and we'll get your thoughts on it. It's absolutely fine. We've had the worst technical issues on this show, believe me. We've done reviews and we've had no audio for like 70% of it, and Stephen's managed to fucking save it somehow.
6,000 views. 6,000 views for a 15-minute clip.
He more than saved it. He fucking made it better. Mike says his favourite action sequence for him was Doc Ock on the bridge. It was an iconic scene. Just seeing the tentacles, whatever the fuck you call them, the tentacles. Octopus.
Yeah.
Mechanical
and
tentacles.
And they thought it was an octopus. With the salt water.
Yeah. Aunt May. That was a great moment again. That was another moment. The nanotechnology from Tony Stark's suit, him implementing it into the arms, but not realising that gave control to Tom Holland. There was some great moments. But that's it really for I think maybe the standout moments in the movie. We'll go to performances, and I'll go to you, Sin, and get your disembodied voice take on performances. Who for you was a standout performance? Now this is probably a harder question. You would think in a movie like this you've got a lot of big personalities. There's probably a couple of obvious ones you would go to, but what for you was a standout performance? I've said standouts. I've done a /S. You don't have to be picking one. You can maybe pick out a couple of standout performances if you've got any.
That's really difficult. So obviously Tom Holland did an excellent job in here. And as far as standout, let's say maybe performances that surprised me with how decent they were was obviously Zendaya's, that a very emotional scene at the end. And she had some, comedic moments. She kind of just has always annoyed me in there, though, because I did not like... I don't like the whole sort of co-opting of the original MJ, like what they did with her character. I don't appreciate when they do stuff like that. Plus, she started off in the first movie being rather annoying. I did not like her. She was snarky, and there was no indication at all that there was any sort of attraction between the two of them. And then suddenly, in the next movie, she's very awkward and shy and weird about it. And it's just like, this feels not natural.
She was quite gregarious in that first movie. She was.
Yeah, I did not like her at all. So then when she shows up and she's like the main love interest in the second movie, I'm like, oh, God. But then in this movie, their interactions felt more natural. It's like maybe they sort of found a better rhythm for her character or something. But also Norman, listen to me. Willem Dafoe, obviously very good performance, on his end. But everybody did a fine job. I really don't have complaints about anyone's performance. But just emotional impact would be probably that scene, like I said, was Zendaya, and of course Tom Holland realizing that he'd been an idiot and screwed up a lot of stuff.
That was important for Tom. Tom's Peter Parker, because he's been really immature, he's been naive. We've seen that in back-to-back movies. Stephen says that was a real gripe of his in Far From Home, the naivety, giving the glasses to Mysterio so easy. Quentin Beck, obviously, that's Quentin Beck, isn't it? Because that puts me in mind of a character that's in some other franchise that maybe, I don't know, it's in Dead by Daylight, and I'm obsessed with Dead by Daylight. See, that was an important moment, Sin.
Yeah. That's a horror game, right?
I love Dead by Daylight. Oh, I'm obsessed. I'm very fucking good at it. Very good at it.
Live stream playing that crazy game, and my son was playing Michael Myers.
Oh,
around, and I'm petrified of Michael Myers.
I'm telling you, son, I'm scary good at it, man. I break killers. You're supposed to be scared of the killer. The killers are scared of me. They can't get a hit into me. I absolutely fucking live in their heads rent free.
I could never really figure out how to navigate that crazy game. I kept going in circles. It was
loops, man, loops. You've got different areas. You can loop them, drop pallets and loop them for an eternity, and then they want to kill you they want to keep hitting you on the hook. You break them, you live in their head rent free. I do, but I'm good at everything. That's my get out. My standout performance for me, it's a toss up between Tom Holland and Willem Dafoe. Sorry, son, I don't even know if you were finished there. I just cut across you, but for me it was.
I was done.
Willem Dafoe or Tom Holland for me. This is Tom Holland's best performance as Spider-Man for me. It was fucking stunning. He's got the sort of youthful gregariousness at the start of the movie. He goes into really dark places, and he really does an incredible job of displaying all of those emotions. I mentioned the shape he got into for the movie. I don't know if he's taking steroids. Doesn't really fucking matter. He still has to put the work in to put the mash on. But the guy's in the best shape of his life, and it was just an incredible fucking performance from him. But sadly for Tom, when you're acting in the same movie as Willem Dafoe and he's putting that performance in, you're doomed to be second fiddle. For me, Willem Dafoe was unbelievable in this movie. I says he was my standout villainous performance. I thought the movie maybe subconsciously delved into Norman Osborn more than the other villains. Maybe Doc Ock was secondary, Electro after that. But they really gave a lot of time to Norman Osborn and this sort of conundrum he's got with this voice in his head torturing him. And Willem Dafoe just played into it. He was absolutely fucking incredible in this movie. A stunning watch. So for me, it's Willem, closely followed by Tom. Stephen?
It makes sense that he was given so much presence in the film, though, because he was like the one that got it started. So it felt like it was a little bit, they were honoring his contribution to everything by giving him the screen time and quality that they did. And then, of course, Doc Ock played a very prominent role as well.
Yeah, for me,
Melina as well. By the way,
Mike said Melina. It's Willem Dafoe for me as well. And in regards to how convincing that guy is, I was concerned for his character when he was reaching out to Aunt May in that centre. I thought, what are they doing with this character? But that was how good he was in this film. He convinced me he was a good guy. He was looking for help. At that moment. Yeah, but it's the acting, it's the convincing, delivery of the actor that does that. You know, and I think, John, just listening to you guys and listening to you, John, there when you're talking about Tom Holland, I almost switched to pick Tom Holland as my top performer in this film because there is that moment after May dies where you see in the character the switch in him changes, and you see him just fulfill his legacy right after that moment that she dies, and he's out for vengeance. I didn't think they would go there with this character. I didn't think they were ready to do it, but it had to take some tragedy, and this was a big tragedy in his life that made the character have to grow. Whether they liked it or not, this character had to grow, and this is the moment, you know, obviously, that we've all been waiting for the Tom Holland, Peter Parker Spider-Man to grow into that role, to grow into that suit. But for me, it's Willem Dafoe because I've always been a fan of his. I know that when I get to see him on screen, how little it is, and I don't know how many minutes he was in this film for,
quite a bit,
but I loved every minute he was in it. Loved every scene he was in, and that moment in the apartment just before all hell kicked off, where you saw him turn. You could see it in his face, you could see it in his eyes that he was getting back to his old ways, and I went, oh, here we go, it's kicking
and
off
that
now.
line, he delivers a powerful monologue about how they're not broken. He's scared to be himself or something along those lines, and he turns the lights of Electro like that. He takes the thing off. It's obviously regulating him. He changes the whole dynamic of the movie, that character. Look, honorary mention to Jamie Foxx. I fucking love Jamie. Just a huge personality. So charismatic. Just oozes fucking coolness. And he's so funny in this movie. He delivers some great lines. I think there's a moment between him and Lizard when he says something along the lines of, I can change into something else. Is that a lizard by any chance? Yeah. I was fucking howling at it. I was howling. I love Jamie Foxx. Loved him for years. And he was fucking hilarious, and he was really good in this as well. But just the nature of being a sort of third spoke in the wheel, or potentially more. He's a third spoke. He's not fourth or fifth. That goes to Lizard and the other guy, Sandman. He's third in the line behind Doc Ock and obviously Norman Osborn. So he's going to have to play third fiddle, if that's even a thing, behind them. I thought he was great as well. Have to mention it. Technical stuff. If we get any thoughts, I loved the score. I thought the score was fucking incredible. Really enjoyed it. Michael Giacchino. First became aware of him in Rogue One. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on the score, son. I thought it was really, really good. Really good.
Did you notice the sort of nod to the original score when Sandman got converted? So I didn't pick up on that first time. My son did.
I'm hyper aware with scores.
It's really good. I also, coming back to Jamie Foxx, that little scene that he had with Andrew when he made this snark about him being a white guy.
Yep.
So at first that kind of like got
oh yes, you're from Queens.
Scene,
you're like you help poor people. I thought you'd be black, you know. It's like, well, that was kind of unnecessary because I don't know if you guys are aware, but here in the U.S. it's gotten really bad with like sort of, let's say, white bashing people, and it's just like in and out of movies, and so I was like, oh, do not go there. But then obviously
I liked it.
It's
funny.
It was a tool used to reference Miles Morales.
Of
course.
I think Andrew had that line, didn't he? There is one out there.
Oh God, I tell you, I was so expecting. I says in the theatre, get him in. Get him in, man. I thought Miles was going to appear. I thought he was going to appear.
I never expected that he was going to appear. But
I didn't really in my heart of hearts, but I wanted him to appear.
I appreciated that they at least referenced him. So it's like, okay, that's cool, and people noticed that, and they like that. As far as, so I did notice sometimes CGI seemed like CGI. Like, I'll give you one example that comes off the top of my head, and that was when Tom's Peter sees the other two Peters, and they jump down to land in front of him. That seemed very obviously CGI, you know. And of course, when they're, you know, little moments like that, but it certainly wasn't enough to complain about. Because the story was so strong. When
Tom and Zendaya land as well, there's something that we're talking about this in the lead up to the movie. There's something like a 2-3 inch height difference between the two, and they just couldn't get the landing right. And
it's the physicality of it. They've never been able to master that. How good the CGI is, they've never been able to do that. Yeah. That goes back to the Phantom Menace when you saw Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon doing that long jump when they were in the Trade Federation ship trying to escape. The physicality of it, it's not natural to be able to drop that far, you know, and land the way they do. I don't think the human brain can accept that, you know.
Mike, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it. Hope you're well. Doctor, I can't read it. Is that Dorpy? Can you read that? Derpy?
My phone's
my
flat,
eyesight
man,
is goosed. I think it's, I'll say Derpy. As a Toby fan, I have to say it's better than Spider-Man 2. But we'll get into that in a moment. Our thoughts on maybe the rankings.
Okay.
I like the cinematography. I like the technical aspects. You expect a certain level with a technical movie. The editing, as I says, I did have some gripes. Sin obviously brought it up with them maybe being a little bit jumpy when there was emotional moments, if you'd like. That's maybe a gripe, some of the editing. And I kind of can see where the likes of Stuntman are coming from when they say that the way the villains are introduced, the way they're handled, it's a little bit compartmentalised. That's maybe a gripe, and again, that could be an editing thing, so that does sneak into technical, I would have thought. But I think overall, it's up there with the best Marvel movies, technically. Score, visuals, CGI, stuff like that. Big bombastic. Fucking de-age Alfred Molina. Says it time and again, their de-aging is second to none. Marvel. They've de-aged Kurt Russell, they've de-aged who else?
Michael Douglas,
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So many. And they've done a great job of it in this. I still think Kurt Russell. Kurt Douglas is dead and he was never in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, I know. I didn't pick up on that.
I always pick up my mistakes, believe me. I've always get Kurt Douglas in my mind because I always think of Michael Douglas and then I think of his dad being alive for over 100 years. And I always vividly remember him. I remember myself watching Vikings, I think it was, and searching it because I've got this weird fucking thing where I'll watch a movie, it's maybe 60 years old, 70 years old, and I'll look at the cast and I'll see who's still alive. Or when I'm a fucking weirdo, and he was still alive at that
That's
moment.
Why IMDb was invented, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
so we could check to see who's still alive.
I looked at it that moment and he was alive, and I'm like, fucking hell, this guy was about 40 then, and it was like 62 odd years ago.
I did that tonight at Coronation Street. Ken Barlow is nearly 90. He's been that character since before the Beatles were out.
Fucking nuts.
So there you go. Anyway,
crazy. But we like to do that.
Tangents aside.
We're weird people.
I don't watch Coronation Street, by the way.
Did you guys notice all the Black Widow poses Spider-Man kept doing?
Yeah. Yeah. They're going deep on Black Widow.
Yeah.
They are doing her dirty.
That's all I can think of when I see a superhero land like that. It's like, that's getting a little cliche now.
You know who's not good at it though, Sin? Haley Steinfeld in Hawkeye. She made a complete arse of falling through that roof. She didn't do a heroic superhero pose at all.
That because I haven't seen them all.
Oh, you need to watch the second episode. I was howling at that,
too,
honestly. When Clint Barton takes those handcuffs off, I was fucking in tears laughing at that. He was so in control the whole point. They attach him to a unicorn, he still looks in control. I love Clint. I love Jeremy Renner. If we get anything else to say here, maybe the post-credit scenes. I really enjoyed the fact we get a full-on fucking Multiverse of Madness trailer. That was really worth staying to the end. And just again, it hammers home how big a spectacle these movies are, how many bodies are involved in making these things happen, from the art department to costume to production, set design. This is an army of people. And again, I felt I need to stick my size 8 shoes right up Stephen Dorff's arse when I was looking at those credits rolling up the screen, because for you to have a jobbing actor who's not really had a career to come at a Marvel movie and see it's not film, and then you see 2,500-3,000 people who've sweated blood, sweat and tears making this movie a thing, fucking it offends me when you've got arseholes like that.
We made a snark about, who was that? Oh shoot, there was a director that recently said something really snarky.
It was Denis Villeneuve. He says that he came after him. Cut and paste.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese, yeah.
You know what? I don't appreciate when they have that sort of attitude because, I think they're just full of crap when they say that. So I liked Dune, but I'm not a huge Dune fan. I thoroughly enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home much more than a movie like Dune. I enjoyed Halloween Kills more than Dune, if that makes sense, just because Kills was more fun.
Yeah.
Right? It was despite its problems, it was more enjoyable for me. Dune was very cerebral, and it just kind of bordered a little bit on being kind of
Sin.
pretentious,
Sin, I agree with you on a lot of things, but we're going to fall out over Dune. I'm really going to love that. First of all, we're going to fall out in the pronunciation because you Americans like to call it Dune and I call it June. And I'm always anal as fuck. If you watch a reaction, I think it may have been Squid Game or something, he said schedule, I said schedule. But yeah, I fucking love June.
You guys are saying it wrong.
But yeah. But
I liked it okay. I don't hate on it at all. It's just as far as like I'm not super into it.
Yeah.
Therefore, there are other films I enjoy more.
It's
It's
one of those movies that it's going to create a Marmite sort of a reaction in people. If you've read the books, and look, the books are a fucking struggle. I say books, player. I've read one, half of it. It's a real struggle to read it. When people are telling you to go to the appendices to fully comprehend what's getting written, you fucking lost me. I've not got time for that shit. It creates a Marmite effect, that movie, because it's, I loved it though, but I'm a fucking weirdo. Breakdown of a grading system. Shall we break it down before we get to our final thoughts and actually tell you what we'll fucking... When will we compare... I don't know if you're prepared for this, Sin, comparing this to previous Spider-Man movies. You want to do this now, or do you want to wait till after grading?
I would maybe do the sort of league of Spider-Man films where you place it. This one where you place it in the... Are we
doing that just now?
I would do that just now, yeah, why not?
Well, I tell you, for me, someone in the comments, and incidentally, we've got a couple of comments from Mike before he left. He says, I will leave you with this. No Way Home was an incredible part of goodness, with the fantastic characters in the trilogy, the villains, the heroes, guest appearances and mid-end and end credit scene. As an MCU fan, we're eating well. There's some static fellas. We get that a lot. 2 seconds, I'll have a little listen to that just now if I can. Thank you very much for letting us know. It's these fucking mics. These mics are... They're quite expensive and it shouldn't be happening, but it does happen. Maybe me. Let's have a listen. Yes, we are getting static. It's my mic. I'm very physical. I like to hit mics and be a prick in general, so we'll get that way. In terms of... we'll get back to it. Someone says, it may have been you incidentally that actually warned us there. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Derpy, if I'm saying your name right. Says that he thinks it's better than Spider-Man 2. For me, I still put Spider-Man 2 number 1. I do. And then I put Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse number 2. Then it's this movie. Then it's probably Spider-Man from 2002, I think it is. Yeah. Then I'd go into maybe the likes of Amazing Spider-Man 2, maybe below Homecoming. That's where I rate it. This is number 3 for me.
I think if you just say your top 3, you kind of work out I think we all know that Amazing Spider-Man films are not going to be at the very top. But John, you're absolutely right, and I think in terms of where I would place it, it would just be below Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 being my top one. That film for me is still the sort of benchmark for an amazing Spider-Man film in terms of character, heart, and just emotions, action sequences, the chemistry between Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina, fantastic. You've also got Kirsten Dunst playing a big role in that film as well.
And Stephen, the fact I've not got an extended universe to rely on, it was all on one movie, it was on the characters. So.
But it was a fantastic movie that I don't think has been topped, and that's not to say that No Way Home isn't an amazing film.
It
is, but
as you'll find out,
it's also playing a lot of fan service as well. I'm not saying it relies on that. It's still a decent story. I don't think it's an amazing story that they're telling. But it's something that was very interesting, something very enjoyable, and something that I didn't know that I needed. But when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire stepped onto the screen, it just took me back 20 years. And it's something that I didn't think I was longing for. There were some things that I felt that they did very well in terms of closing sort of chapters for those 2 versions of Spider-Man. Particularly Andrew Garfield's. I think he got a better ending this time than he did in the second film of his franchise. So for me, it's Spider-Man 2, No Way Home, and then probably the original Spider-Man film, 2002. I still appreciate that one because it was the first one. It was the first live-action Spider-Man film we had in 30 years. And what a way to introduce a character. It was an amazing film. I think the CG's probably dated now. I've not seen the film in a long time, but
I recently rewatched it. It is dated.
I thought it would. Very cartoony. But at the time it was very good,
That was Goblin Boy one, wasn't it? Spider-Man 1. You could argue that Defoe's original performance was very camp, shall we say, compared to what we've got in recent times, but I fucking love Defoe. Before I let you in, I just want to quickly touch upon, because you did mention this earlier, Stephen, the sort of better ending for, maybe in Sin actually, the better, was it you? I don't know, for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, where he saves MJ, and obviously that was a nice way for him to rectify what he didn't do with obviously Gwen in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I fucking love that one. I loved the little. He was slightly emotional.
Yeah.
Are you alright? Stephen, I was getting a fucking lump in my throat watching that because I genuinely connected. I feel so sorry for Andrew Garfield as an actor. He deserved better.
Yeah, I think so.
He was a great Spider-Man and he deserved so much fucking more than he got. It was just really unfortunate timing. They did the deal with Marvel Disney. Tom Holland came in. They had to completely scrub it. So that was almost like a microcosm of what I felt for that guy and what it gave to that character. It really did. There was several moments in this fucking movie where I found myself getting close to getting tears, man, because that's how much I'm invested in these characters. And as I keep saying, Spider-Man for me always been my favourite Marvel character and forever will be my favourite Marvel character. Just what he typifies, even from the comics, what Stan Lee says of a character. He's a character that can connect with anybody from any background. He was wrote for anybody from any background. He's the fucking greatest character for me. But sorry, son, I'll get off my fucking soapbox. What was your what are we saying here? What's this? What is it? Ranking of Spider-Man movies.
Board, yeah.
But how would you rank this? Have you even thought about this? I don't know.
Thinking about it while you were talking, you were giving me a chance. So I feel like we can't fully appreciate No Way Home if it weren't for the original Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like I can rank it above the first two for me. The first one is dated, but that one set the stage for everything, and I just felt like the story was so well done, despite the sort of not great CGI effects. I still feel like the story itself holds up very well. So I don't know. I like the second movie too. It's really hard for me to put the second movie above the first one. So I don't know. Maybe it's better. I just like them both. So I feel like for me that this movie, No Way Home, would be just underneath the first and second. I go 2-1 and No Way Home, or I go 1-2 and No Way Home. I don't know.
I feel personally affronted though that neither of you have mentioned Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I feel like it's a personal insult to me, because that was such a good fucking movie. Such a good movie.
I don't know why I don't really, because I guess mentally I just don't classify it because that's animated and I'm thinking live action. And while I did like that movie, I wasn't supremely in love with it. It was
still a cartoon, yeah.
It was just, I like cartoons.
That's why I don't watch What If.
Well, see, I like animated stuff. I do really, but I just never think about that as being part of this universe of Spider-Man. So that's why I didn't mention it.
What's happening to me just now is what happens when you get less than 6 hours sleep and you do my job. My eye is twitching out my fucking cranium and it's really winding me up. My left eye is twitching like fuck. I'll ignore that comment from you, Stephen. That's still a cartoon.
Top Cat.
Stephen, there was 8 different artistic styles in there. I think they shot Top the movie Cat, individually 8 times.
Flintstones, yeah.
Fucking triumph, a technical triumph. I loved it. I loved Miles Morales.
I did the review for it, as you recall.
We both rated it.
Yeah, I loved it. I really did like it.
Yeah. Anyway, fuck it. Grading. Set up. Let's get into it before we give our final thoughts and actually rate this fucking movie. This review's been on a while, incidentally.
Yeah.
This is how we rate our movies. I just fucked this in at the end. I know. It's back to front in one monitor because this is where we had Sin, and it's very much the right way around in the other. We rate our movies like this: F through A. F. You can read it there. You don't have to go through.
It will be changing in the new year, though.
It will be changing in the new year to a new medical system, 1 to 10, because we can't be fucked with this. With that in mind, we shall go to final thoughts. I will go first, and I will let you take the stage after. This is the third best Spider-Man movie ever for me, potentially fourth. You could argue this along with 2002 original Spider-Man. It's original for me. I don't count that fucking thing Stephen went to see 30 years ago because I wasn't alive. I was but a twinkle in my grandmother's and my mother's and my father's and my grandfather's eyes. Never seen it. I have no wish to ever see it. So for me, 2002 was the first.
They seemed fun. I had a big crush on him.
Nicholas Hammond.
Don't you know who this guy is? There you go.
He was in The Sound of Music as a wee boy, but he was. He was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Do you remember the guy that comes in with the big sort of hairdo and the glasses, and he's talking to Leonardo DiCaprio's character
in the restaurant?
In the sort of trailer, and he's saying, "I want you to wear a beard, and I want you to get all roughed up."
Oh, him, yeah. When he was coughing and still smoking,
coughing,
and drinking. What a fucking guy! I loved. That's another story. Fucking Rick Dalton. What a movie that was. I envy that guy. Even though he was a fucking car crash, the pina coladas, ice pina coladas. It was pina colada, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The swimming pool overlooking LA.
Fucking
loved it. Bounty Law. That was just gratuitous as fuck from Quentin. That was him just doing what he wants.
Yeah.
I've made my career. I'll do what I fucking want and fuck all of these. enough swearing for me. Final thoughts, for me, third or fourth best Spider-Man movie ever. I'd say third. I would say third. Spider-Man 2, Spider-Verse, then this. I don't think I can give higher praise than that, because those two movies are some of the greatest fucking comic book movies ever made. So I'm putting it in the same company as that. I just thought it was ambitious as hell. You're bringing 5 villains in. It's never really been done that I'm aware of. Certainly not in a Spider-Man movie. It's been a wet dream of Sony's for fucking 20 odd years, as Mike said in the chat. They finally had the chance to do it. But with one shot of a Sinister Six though, and being a guy I'm convinced get OCD, that will forever haunt me. We should have had 6 in there. Should have brought Tom Hardy in, you bastards. But still, it was the way they utilised them. They gave them their own moments to really excel. Maybe not enough for me, but still, to have 3 Spider-Man characters in there, absolutely fucking superb. To throw Charlie Cox in and connect that universe. I love Charlie Cox. He's finally got his moment in the MCU.
Yeah.
Daredevil's a great character.
Yep.
That and The Punisher, 2 best things to come out on Netflix in that sort of connected Marvel
Jessica
universe.
Jones as well.
And I'm so fucking glad that guy's going to get potential, and he is going to get a movie, because Feige came out and says he says Daredevil before this, he's in it. I loved this movie. I loved it on a technical level. I loved the acting from Tom Holland. They've gave us everything I wanted for this character. They've matured him. So for me, I'm going to get right into it. I am giving this movie a fucking A, because it deserves an A. I'm not going to fanny about with it and say that it's not an A because of this, that. For me, it's an A. Personally, I love this movie. It's perfection. It doesn't get any better. Stephen?
Me? Okay.
I'll let Sin go.
Yeah.
I'll let Sin go, because Stephen's pointing to you, Sin.
This is so difficult. I always just hem and haw in my brain about giving films a number or a letter, because then I start to...
Sin, you don't have to rate it if you don't want to rate it. That's what I'll say. Don't rate it if you don't have to. You don't want to.
I called this movie excellent when I was talking about it in both of my reviews. But I think, according to your scale, excellent is like a B- or B+. I definitely feel like it's above a B.
What, a B?
Or B+. So I don't know, like...
We need to get an A-.
Sort of something between an A and a B, but let's say I would say an A.
Listen, do you want to say an A-?
Maybe A-, yeah.
Since gave it...
The little issues that I, already mentioned, just little tiny, but it certainly was nothing to ruin this movie at all.
Put a little dash in there. It's an A- for Sin. Steve?
Has Sin got any thoughts?
Have you got any thoughts, Sin? I think she shared. She said it was excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was excellent. It was, I feel like it was an extremely... Okay, so I've mentioned before on my channel in different videos that I feel like the best days of the MCU are behind us, and I do still feel that way.
I would agree with that.
I also mentioned that I felt like we were going to have some bright spots here and there, and I felt like Spider-Man was going to be a bright spot. My excitement for this movie grew exponentially as we got closer to, showtime, and I feel like, okay, this is definitely one of the brightest spots in the MCU since Endgame. So it's right on up there as one of the best MCU films for me.
Wow.
Just looking at that monitor there and seeing how bright that light is, this is what I have to deal with. And I speak about my eyes being quite bad. No wonder. I'm looking into the moon.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the sun. I feel like fucking Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin back in 60, whatever. So bright.
My favorite MCU is still The Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Film,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I do agree with you, son. I think the MCU is into its into the second stage, and I think the second stage will be worse than the first stage. You've not got Iron Man, you've not got Steve Rogers, you have got Sam Wilson, but
you're going to have some bright spots, like Sin said. You're going to have the Doctor Strange films, etc. There's going to be moments that's going to be very good. Shang-Chi as well, which I thought was fantastic.
Long-established characters. Those are the bright spot movies.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
Unless they recast.
Or give us another Hulk film, please. Please, give us a proper Hulk film.
Yes.
But for me, this movie was everything I expected it to be, and I hoped it would be. Mm-hmm. Just watching all that, just witnessing history in the making when you think about it, I loved those first 3 Tobey Maguire films. I loved the first Andrew Garfield one. The second one was not bad. But to have them now connected in some fashion into the MCU is what I really got a kick out of, because they were just out there on their own for so long, for over 20 years, and to bring them in some kind of fashion. I know it's not directly connected to the MCU in such a way, but just to have them in and involved in that and acknowledge them and acknowledge, you mentioned it, Sin, in terms of the score. They were playing back to some of the original score, and just playing back to some of the original relationships as well, in terms of Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Tobey Maguire. Just having that, it took me back 20 years when I first saw that first Spider-Man film, and I got a real kick out of that. There was a lot of nostalgic moments in this film, but aside to that, something that we shouldn't forget is that this was the character development and growth of Tom Holland's Peter Parker. That was the sort of main importance for me for this film, and you could have forgot about that with all the sort of ice on top of the cake things with the old characters. But that for me, the way they wrote his development through this, the tragedy of Aunt May, I didn't think he was going to get that because there was never an uncle on the scene. I thought perhaps Uncle Ben had already died.
Yeah, she was Uncle Ben.
Obviously, it was just the Aunt May character was going to be, his family. And when he lost that, just seeing that turn in Tom Holland's character, the way he performed that turn, it just went into a sort of dark, area.
Chasm.
Yeah, and jumped the chasm. And I thought they handled it very well. A big cast, a lot of expectation on this film as well. Some might say that Homecoming and Far From Home, were a little underwhelming for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I have read that. I've seen that on some YouTube channels as well. A lot of underwhelming moments in those films. The villains maybe not as great as we would expect. I thought Mysterio was excellent. To be honest with you, Jake Gyllenhaal was amazing.
Was a class character.
But for me, they handled it very well, the best they could. And they did something that Lucasfilm could. I know we don't want to get into this now.
I was going to go into a bit of a scratch.
I just think that fan service is not a bad word. It's not a dirty word, and it shouldn't be. These are the people that pay to have these, to go and watch these films. These are your main sort of bloodline. If you don't have the fans or the audience there's no point in making films. And Lucasfilm have to learn from that, from their Star Wars
try to find the box
films,
office.
And I think they are slowly understanding that now through The Mandalorian, bringing the Luke Skywalker character, the Boba Fett character. We're getting a series of Boba Fett at the end of the month. Can't wait for that. And I think that's something that Marvel do very well. They do please the fans. We got it in Endgame, we got it in Infinity War. We get it quite a lot in their films, actually. Probably every film we see. That's why they do the post-credit scenes, because they want people to stay in their seats to the very end, and they know that they will, and they will deliver. And they did with the post-credit scenes in this film as well, I felt. For me, this film is an A as well.
Bring it up. Boom.
What do you think box office is going to be?
I'm looking at that just now. I can't find it. I thought it'd be out, but it's just out.
Yeah.
I think it'll do very, very well. Apparently, it's sold to $114 million already. That was 4 hours ago. That'll only be in the States.
I think it'll do better than The Last Jedi.
Packed houses over here. Yeah. Absolutely.
But we're in a pandemic. So don't know.
Yep.
That's the only thing. Yeah.
Sure. I think I saw an estimate of worldwide maybe 500 plus million opening weekend. Now here in the U.S., when the tickets went on sale, they went on sale like midnight, November 29th, I think. And so I got the email about it. I went to the movie site, and the site was down.
Yeah.
Down. And it was down until the next day. I could barely get in to get tickets. We had
about 6 seats available in the entire theatre when we went to order.
There was only a few left by the time I could get my phone app working. And then, of course, when I went there, first showtime for Thursday night previews, and they had 21. Now, I haven't counted how many offerings they have today, but I bet it's even more because they're going to open it earlier in the day. And I heard that Thursday night previews brought in 50 million here in the U.S. And they feel like it's going to bring in 100 million today. So I think definitely, I knew it was going to beat 100 million. I'm thinking now it might very well carry over 200 million.
Yeah.
Which will be awesome.
I think worldwide, I think it's banned in China, which is a bit of a boot in the balls.
I heard that. But why? What's the reason? So they have different reasons for banning certain movies, but
I can't fathom why they would ban it.
No.
I can't. I don't even notice anything that would relate to China in the movie. It would be offensive. But they're strange, China. There's maybe some tiny throwaway mark and they've banned it. A strange country, China. Let's be honest, at the best of times. I think it'll make over $1 billion easily. Even during a pandemic, I think there's a a real desire to see this movie. And obviously the fact I don't think it's on a streaming service same day, Sony are not fucking idiots like the other studios. I think I'd be stunned if it doesn't make $1 billion plus, which in this era would be unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But it's got nothing to prove.
In total or this weekend?
I think in total cum, I think it will make well over $1 billion. This weekend, probably, worldwide, I don't know, it could be anything between 300-400 million. I think weekend, maybe more. The whole weekend, Thursday through Wednesday, opened here through to Sunday. Can you count that as a fucking weekend, an extended weekend? Crazy money, man. Hundreds of millions. It's a great movie and it's got rewatchability. People will go back and watch it, and I will go back and watch it 100%. I love the movie.
John, I'm going to be off for a fortnight, so I'm definitely going back.
I'm sadly not off for a fortnight, Stephen. I'm off for 4 days, but I will be going back and watching it if the poor bastards in the theatre are not doing Christmas. And I hope they aren't, because I'm a bastard.
Well, hopefully Little Goblin Jr. Nicola Sturgeon doesn't ruin it for us either.
Yeah. Sin, are you aware of a theatre character, a theatre actor called Jimmy Cranky?
No.
Search Jimmy Cranky up. GIMMYKRNKIE. That is the leader of our country, Nicola Sturgeon. I used to be part of a party. Fucking lost me. But anyway, we'll not get into politics. It's a dangerous, slippery slope.
I haven't heard of that character.
That's Nicola Sturgeon that runs Scotland, First Minister of Scotland. She's lost the fucking plot with coronavirus, shall we say, and she's itching at the bit to lock us down again. Hopefully she can wait and we can get back and see the Spider-Man again. I'll back see it anyway. I don't give a fuck, man. We got to see Tenet during the heart of the pandemic. I don't give 2 fucks. So I'll be there.
I'm so over this crap. I'm so over it.
Have you had it, Sin?
Beginning. I have had COVID.
Yeah.
We rang in the new year with COVID, and I have never been in agreement with the lockdowns at all. I think it was panic, and in the beginning they sold it to us as 2 weeks to flatten the curve. The curve has been flattened for over a year.
We had a circuit breaker last year, a 2-week circuit breaker, and we ended up being the longest city in lockdown in the whole of Europe. It was something like 6 months in lockdown. So I've had quite enough of fucking lockdowns. And we had the straight from Wuhan variant, so I'm really giving a fuck about this mild shit that's coming out just now. But yeah, anyway.
I know, I could go on. I tell you, I have really appreciated the hell out of my YouTube community this past year because since 2020, because it's really helped me. It's just given me a great outlet because I'm so sick of real life right now.
Yes, it's shite.
That's why we do it. Yeah,
that is why we do it. This is why I love talking, and I love having a camera in front of me, even though I am a bit fucking gommy-eyed just now for some reason. Actually, I love having a camera in front of me and talking. So yeah, on that note, I think I'm going to round it up. That's the end of our review of Spider-Man No Way Home review of Spider-Man No Way Home. What's your thoughts? Have you seen the movie? Are you excited by the revelations in the movie? If they were revelations to you, they weren't revelations to me. I don't know why I'm doing this. What's your thoughts on the movie in general? You can comment below if you've got anything to say about that movie. And if you've seen it, and these spoilers, which you can share freely, because this is a spoiler review. On our review as well, if you've got anything to say at all about Sin, who kindly came on and shared their views on it, sadly bowed out about 25-30 minutes ago with a camera issue. Absolutely fine, we can hear you. That's all that matters. I don't know if you're back yet, Sin. I doubt you are. But yeah, you can you can share your thoughts below. You get anything to say at all. Comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyeballs for more content like this in the future. We do a wide array of content. And you can hit the follow button over on Twitch as well for all the aforementioned reasons. Regardless of what you do, though, thank you very much for watching us. Blabbering away for well over an hour, I dare say. Fuck me, nearly 2 hours.
Oh, you guys, it's been an hour and 40-some minutes.
It has. Absolutely crazy. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
Nearly the running time of the actual movie.
Thank you very much for watching. We are all done. Bye. I was about to say me, Stephen, and Sin are done. And I just did. Bye, guys.